Hi everybody, it's Judith from Jvart Resources and thanks for joining me today. This is part 2 of my surface series. I work on lots of different surfaces. I'm always trying different things. I'm never happy with just one. If I find something that I like, that's good, but I want to see what else is out there, what other options I have, and being a bit of an art supply junkie, I tend to buy a lot of different supplies, and so I've tried lots of surfaces, and I have an opinion on all of them. Now, maybe different than yours. Somebody may try something and they don't care for it, but this is just my opinion on working on certain surfaces, trying to show you in real time how many layers you can get on certain surfaces, like the Bristol Smooth. A lot of artists work on that and love it, and it's one of my favorites. I have heard several people say you can't layer on that, so that's why I wanted to show that. With a light touch, I got about 10, 11 layers on there, and some of you can probably get more. So you really can if you're careful. The combination of pressure, pencil, and paper, you could get a lot of different looks. So I'm here to bring you number 2 in my series, and this is on Pastelmat. This is a surface that I use for animal drawings, and I really love it because you can do tons of layers. You could just go back and forth with colors, and what I really like about it is your lights will tend to show up, so it makes it a perfect surface for fur. If you're using a gray, let's say, as your initial laydown of color, maybe for skin on a black dog, and now there's some white hairs or some golden hairs in there, you can put those right over the darker color and it will show up. Not necessarily screaming vibrant white, you know, there are things that you can do for that, but you can get light over dark on this Pastelmat, and you can put numerous layers, and I'm going to show you that in action on real time, how many layers I get and how it works out. But before I do, I just want to tell you a little bit about it. First of all, it's a wonderful surface. It feels a little bit fuzzy. It's a very light sanded surface. This is a drawing that I did of my dog. I did it on the black. She's black and gold, just for the dramatic effect. But the paper itself feels soft and fuzzy to me, like a very light sanded paper, and that will give you that surface will give you options to just layer. It's perfect for pastel. That's why they call it Pastelmat. If you work with Pan Pastel at all, you will love it. This is a little sample that I did of Pan Pastel a while back, and you can see those are the Pan Pastel colors, the way they really soak into that Pastelmat. Look how vibrant and beautiful they are. Now, just to show you, the white patch that's on the green and those white hairs are colored pencil. So that's colored pencil over Pan Pastel on Pastelmat. So that's just to show you. A lot of people were interested in Pan Pastel. I've done a video on that, and I'm going to be doing some more on that as well. But I just thought I would show that to you now, since that's what this surface is really for, mostly. But it works beautiful with colored pencil. And they come in single sheets of, I think, 19.5 by 27. They're about $12 for a sheet that size, which you of course can cut up for, you know, get 4 or 5 drawings out of it, or they come in the pads. Now these are 9 by 12 pads. I tend to draw 9 by 12 pretty often, so I like them. Now this one has a white and a really dark charcoal gray, a lighter gray, and like a peachy color almost. This one has some soft golds and grays as well. And then there are other colors. Here's a smaller pad. I actually bought this by mistake, but I kept it. It has a beautiful burgundy and a navy blue, and then another lighter yellow. With these 3 pads, there are 12 gorgeous colors. And so I ordered a brown large sheet and a white sheet that does not come in the pads. Oh, they do actually sell white in the pad, but I couldn't find the brown. So it's an array of colors, and you can really do a lot with it. Another thing I love about this, before I go down and show you, it takes the layers, as you know. It takes blending, it takes burnishing, and it takes OMS beautifully. That's odorless mineral spirits, for those of you that don't know. I don't like to use that a lot. I only use that on certain areas, and I never saturate. I use a damp brush. I like to use, actually, this water brush I dedicated to OMS. That's why it has this paper on it. This is odorless mineral spirits in here, and it's a small little brush. And sometimes trying to cover all the little pits on a sanded surface, you really need to burnish and get in there. But that's when I use the OMS. I like to do that for sometimes the eyeball. If you want that solid, nice, dark, rich color, that brown show through or blue or whatever you're working on, once I lay down my colors, I'll use a little bit of this in a very fine strokes around the eye, fill in all the little pits that might be showing through, let it thoroughly dry, and then you'll see you'll have a beautiful rich color, and then you could go over that again with more pencil. So there's a lot you can do with it, as I will show you. So thanks for listening to me, and you can stick around and I'll give you a little example on this sheet right here of Pastelmat, and you can see it in action. Thanks for watching. Okay, so here is my sheet of, it's like an apricot color Pastelmat attached to my board. Right now, just for the test purpose, I have a piece of mounting putty underneath to hold it in place. Now, when you get the pads, they come with this sheet of, it's like a glassine, wax paper, on top of each page. So that's really nice. It keeps them protected, and then you can tear it out and use it to protect your paper as you go along, especially on something like this, which is really absorbent to color. You don't want any oils in your hand getting on here or any fingerprints, especially if you're working with pastel. That really gets on your fingers and can smudge up your paper. So you want to keep it as clean as possible. Now we're going to do a couple of layers on here and see how that takes. I want to show you the OMS as well, and some blending with my favorite Caran d'Ache blender. So you'll get to see all that in action. But first thing I want to do is show you what it was made for, and that is for pastels. And this right here, I'll just show you, is the one of the sets of the Pan Pastel. These are the darks, and the reason why I'm using these right now is my drawing that I'm working on, I'm going to be using some of these darker colors for the background. So we'll see how they work. Now I'm using a lighter color, of course, but I'm going to show you now. This is one of the soft tools that you get with the pastels, and you use them like paintbrushes. So here we go. I'm going to show you. This is a dark gray, and let's see what it looks like on this Pastelmat. It's pretty dark. Now you could even see that this Pastelmat had some scratches in it, and they're showing up right here. I don't know if you can see that. Let me zoom in a little bit. Here, maybe you can see that better. There are some lines in here where this paper had some scratches on it. That's why it's very delicate, even though it's a sturdy paper, and you need to keep it covered to protect it. So those, you can just go over and fill in those scratches. We could make them disappear, but that's not what this is about right now. This is just to show you the pastel coverage and how it really takes to this paper. Now I'm going to show you one more color, and then we'll go on to the pencils, because that's really what it's all about. And for those of you that know Pan Pastel, you clean your brush here by just wiping it on paper towel until the color stops coming off. And then you're ready to go. Even though this is still dark, you could go right into a lighter color. I'm going to go into this goldish green right now and show you how that applies. And that applies really beautiful, very smooth. And then I'll just blend these colors in together. They do make their own blender powder. It's a little different than the blender powder that we know. It's specifically designed for these colors. I'll show you that in another video. But this is what the Pan Pastel looks like on the Pastelmat. Now, I'm going to just wipe off some of the crumbs. And now I'm going to show you, this is a white Pablo pencil. I'm going to zoom in now so you can see. So, watch how you can see the white on here. That's pretty good. That is really pretty dark. If you were doing an animal and you needed some animal hairs, of course you would have a much finer point, but look how you can put animal hair on that. And this is white over dark. Now that's Pan Pastel. Now I'm going to show you on a black pencil, or dark. This is let's see, this is Castle Earth. This is a beautiful Luminance pencil. This is one of my favorite brown pencils from Luminance. Let's zoom back out a little bit now so you can see. Okay, I'm going to do that right over here Now, this is really like my first layer. Now I'm going to zoom in so you can see that. Okay, now this did not cover very well in one layer, but that's okay, it's just one layer. And as you can see, there are plenty of little pits still showing through this peach. That's why you can layer so much. You can take other colors. Here's another one. This is the Caran d'Ache Luminance Sepia. And actually, if you look at this point, you can see that I've used it. It's worn down a little bit, because it does tend to eat your pencils a little bit. But that's just the price to pay to have a beautiful drawing on some really good paper. So we're going to do another layer with the sepia color, using a pressure of about a 3. It's getting darker. I'll go back with the Castle Brown again. It's still getting darker. And let's just keep it up with this for now. Let's say 4, unless I lost count. Let's see, 5. That's 6. Same pressure that I've been using. You could still see lots of the peachy color through that. 7. Let's try something different. Here's like a terracotta. It's about 8 layers. I turned my pencil to get the point. That'll help dig into some of those pits. It's about 9 or 10. Sorry, I lost count. I think that was 9. Okay, there's about 10 layers. Now, let me use my Caran d'Ache blender, somewhere here. And let's see if we can blend these together. I'm not pressing terribly hard. I'm still pressing at about a 3 or a 4. Trying to fill in the little pits of the paper. This is showing a little bit of a white residue, but that's not a problem because we're going to go right back over it again with some more. It's just filling in some of the paper. Got a little too close there with my air can, but it dries up right away. Now we're going to go back to that brown. Oh no, actually this is the Castle Earth again. And now that we filled in some of the pits, this next layer after blending is really covering very well right now. You almost don't see any of the little pits left. Now I'm going to go back over again because I missed some spots. Now, this color is a lot darker by itself, and I'm pressing hard to show you. But with that really pretty terracotta color in there, it's a little different. You can see it has a little bit more depth and more dimension. It's a little lighter brown, maybe with a little bit of a red undertone to it as well. So that's why layering colors is very important. So now there's about a dozen on here, I would say. Sorry, I lost count again. But now I'm going to take my white Pablo pencil, and we're going to make believe this is the part of the animal's neck, and they have a little bit of white fur growing up the middle. So we're going to add some white hairs. If this was the white hairs that you needed to add, look how on that dark background you can get this light. I mean, it doesn't scream as bright as the other color did because there's so many layers here, but it's perfect for hair. And here, I'll show you, if you press a little bit harder, you can get a little bit more white on it. Now I'll go in and take one of my beige colors. Now that, of course, is not going to show up as much as the white, but it still shows up. Now I'm going to go back with the black and the dark and add some more darker hairs. Of course, I would be much neater and more precise. This is just for the sample. You can see the dark now over the light, which is over the dark. And we're going to go with the light again, over that dark. So that's how you get that dimension and that depth of hairs. You can just keep going back and forth and putting in the different shades. You can even use your very thin pencils if you like and add some thin lines. These may be hard to see on camera. Let me get a lighter, I'll use the very thin white. It's about the same as the Pablo white. And it's probably not showing up on camera that well. But you get the idea. You can see now just how you can get lots of layers and lots of hairs and go back and forth in different colors. So that's really pretty cool. So now I want to show you something else. We're going to go with some different colors here. Let's slide down the paper. Okay, after doing a quick edit, I decided to skip the real-time portion because you've already seen that in action over here. Now what I did was these three colors, these are three luminance shades of purple. There's a light, a medium, and a dark tone. That's how I usually like to blend together when I'm trying to come up with another color. So as you can see, one is kind of a dark purple, one's a little grayish purple, and one is like a lavender. So those are layered here. I probably have about 2 layers of each, and then I went back with the dark over the top, again like that. I layered with my brush of OMS. You could still see it's slightly damp on the background there, but it's just about dry now. Right here, that's what I did on the colors with my OMS brush. So now that these layers have built up and they're pretty dry, I'm going to show you that you can, once again, take your white. I'm going to sharpen it. And now with a sharp white pencil, there it is. More white lines to make more hairs on animal fur. Or anything that you're drawing. If this is a purple flower and you needed to put a little white on it, you can do that as well. And I actually think my OMS is still a little bit wet here. I always tell you that make sure your OMS is totally dry. And when you're doing a big portrait or a big drawing, and if you have a lot on there, let it sit for a while. But even with that, you can still see just how great the white shows up on this. So there you have it. I hope you can really see how wonderful this paper is. And even though it does have the negative portion of eating up your pencils a little bit, I hope that you'll give it a try someday. I really don't use anything else for animal portraits anymore. I really love it. As you can see with the Pan Pastel, also it's a great product. Makes some beautiful colors, blends beautifully, and again, the light over the dark is a really big plus. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please check out the Bristol Smooth paper from last week, and this is the Pastelmat, and next week, I am not sure what I have planned yet, but we will be going over another paper, another surface, real time to show you. So thanks again. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not, and have a great weekend. Make time to create, and I'll see you next time.